Around 970 million people are currently battling some form of mental illness. That's 1 in 8 people globally are currently suffering with depression, anxiety, bipolar, schizophrenia, or a number of other mental issues, and these numbers are rising every day. But what if I told you new research has and is continuing to come out that supports the idea that your diet is the main culprit and changing to a ketogenic diet can help fix lifelong issues? Today, I'm going to talk about Dr. Chris Palmer and his research on the connection between mental illness, the gut brain axis, and mitochondria function, and how a simple diet change is showing unbelievable results. But first, let's run through what the current standard American diet is and what the general health of Americans are. The standard American diet consists of highly processed foods, high sugars, and unhealthy fats, which has led to more than 70% of American adults being classified as overweight or obese. That's roughly 245 million people struggling with weight-related issues, and the consequences are profound. The diet doesn't just affect excess weight gain, it's also leading to widespread nutritional deficiencies. 1 in 10 Americans is vitamin D deficient, over 40 have inadequate levels of vitamin E, and about 30% suffer from insufficient vitamin A. These deficiencies can lead to a host of health problems, from weakened immunity to impaired vision and poor mental function. The connection between gut health and mental health is also known as the gut-brain axis, a bidirectional communication system linking the gut and the brain. Processed foods can harm this communication by causing chronic inflammation, which affects brain function and mood regulation. Your gut and brain are constantly communicating with each other through a complex network of nerves. The gut, often called your second brain, contains millions of neurons that communicate directly with the central nervous system through the vagus nerve. Your gut is also home to trillions of bacteria, often referred to as the gut microbiome. A healthy, balanced microbiome helps regulate digestion and supports proper communication between the gut and brain. We then have mitochondria, which just aren't the powerhouse of the cell. They're also involved in critical processes, including hormone regulation, inflammation control, and even the expression of genes. When mitochondria malfunction, the whole system can suffer, which may explain why mental and physical health are so tightly connected. One of the major consequences of a dysfunctional gut-brain axis and mitochondria function is an abnormal production of brain chemicals or neurotransmitters that regulate your mood. For example, over 90% of your serotonin, a chemical responsible for motivation, drive, and well-being, is produced in your gut. When your gut is out of balance, serotonin production plummets. At the same time, stress hormones like cortisol may spike, leading to anxiety, depression, and other mental health disorders. Essentially, when your gut and mitochondria isn't functioning properly, the brain's chemical signals go haywire, and mental illness can begin to develop or worsen. Think of the pathway from your gut to your brain like a running hose. When turned on, a steady supply of water comes through, but if you kink the hose, the water level drops and starts to not function as intended. The same is true if you turn the tap on too much and the hose now sprays uncontrollably. This is essentially the same for your gut and brain pathways. So how do we stop this from happening? This is where the ketogenic diet comes in, or keto for short. Originally developed to mimic the effects of fasting, the keto diet was designed to help stop seizures. By tricking the body into a fasting state, it activates processes that promote cellular repair. This involves getting rid of defective cells and even dysfunctional mitochondria. The diet consists of a high-fat, high-protein, and low-carbohydrate foods, like meat, eggs, vegetables, nuts, avocados, and fruits. The diet causes your body to use ketones instead of carbohydrates for energy. This energy is generally more consistent than carbohydrates, which means you won't get as many energy crashes throughout the day. The healing and health properties start to be noticeable after roughly 2 weeks, but continue to improve and can peak at roughly 2 years. Dr. Chris Palmer, a professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School and a practicing psychiatrist who has worked with countless patients, is having huge success with the diet. Just listen to Dr. Palmer on the Jordan B. Peterson podcast, give a story of a patient who completely turned his life around thanks to a ketogenic diet.
I had this patient with schizoaffective disorder. He had been my patient for 8 years. Schizoaffective disorder is a cross between schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. This man was tormented and disabled by his illness. He had chronic hallucinations, delusions. He was paranoid. He was convinced that everybody in the world was out to get him. People were laughing at him, spying on him, trying to hurt him. He had tried 17 different medications. None of them helped his symptoms. He had gained a massive amount of weight and asked for my help to lose weight. And I put him on a ketogenic diet to try to help him lose weight. And within 2 weeks, not only was he starting to lose weight, but I began to notice this powerful antidepressant effect in him. And the shocking thing that led me ultimately on this path was that about 2 months in, so it doesn't happen overnight, but about 2 months in, he starts spontaneously reporting that his hallucinations and delusions are starting to go away. That man went on to lose over 160 pounds, has kept it off to this day, 7 years later. He was able to do things he hadn't been able to do since the time of his diagnosis. He was able to go out in public and not be paranoid. He was able to complete a certificate program. He was able to perform improv in front of a live audience.
Wow.
He
Wow.
teaches karate. Now, he was able to do things that were all but impossible for him and somebody with his diagnosis.
Although there's still skepticism in the medical community, clinical trials are emerging that support the idea that metabolic interventions through diet are effective for severe mental health conditions like bipolar, depression, anxiety, and more. Dr. Chris Palmer and his new book, Brain Energy, a revolutionary breakthrough in understanding mental health and improving treatment for anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, and more, is out now. And if you're someone who is struggling with mental health, I can't recommend this book enough. He goes into more detail about what I've talked about in this video and also discusses other issues that can have an impact on mental health, like exercise, drug and alcohol use, and trauma. It was one of my favorites of the year, and I'll attach a link to the book in the description below. I hope you found value in this video, and thank you for watching.